Is it going? Okay, it wasn't looking like it was going to go for a little bit. I don't know what is going on lately, but like every time I go to YouTube, it loads my subscription page, and then I try to click on something that's like, nope, wait, gotta reload the page, and then it waits, and then I can't click on anything for like a good 30 seconds, which, first world problems, I can't click on anything for 30 seconds, but girls gotta get some stuff done. So hi, hello, welcome to this week's episode recap, Once Upon a Time, episode 17, I think, yeah, episode 17 of season 5. Let me get the comments open, and let me get my script going, because 9:30 kind of snuck up on me a little bit. I was doing some other stuff, and then I was like, oh, it's 9:28. I should probably get everything booted, and that didn't happen on time. Sorry about that. How are you guys doing? I hope everybody had a good week. I'm on hockey hangover right now. My dad and I went to the Blue Jackets Blackhawks game last night, and I'm just still kind of recovering from it. I didn't drink or anything like that, but it was just it was my first NHL game, so it was very emotional and very so I'm a little emotionally hungover today. And so today, this episode, I came to the conclusion at the end of the episode that it's episode 17 and I still don't know what's happening. I know what's happening, but I'm trying to put the puzzle pieces together, and I don't have enough puzzle pieces left. And there's just so many things happening, and I don't understand. I will get it, I'm sure, as soon as we get to a point where I can get it. But for right now, I don't have all of the puzzle pieces, and it's bothering me that I can't there's 6 episodes left, right? Yeah, because technically there's 5 weeks, but it's 6 episodes because 22 and 23 are always the same number, or always the same night. So yeah, we have 6 episodes left, and I'm still just I feel like I should know what's happening, or I should have more pieces of the puzzle, and I don't, and it's kind of bugging me. So I'm very we're getting a lot of information about a lot of different things, which I appreciate. However, we're not getting a lot of information about the pressing matters of what's at hand, which is why does Hades want all these babies? I feel because we made the point of bringing back the idea of the time portals, the time travel spell, we might have to be dealing with some time travel coming up soon. That would be interesting. It's it's been introduced in the show. We've already learned that it's a bad idea to do that. So it'd be interesting to see how characters who have not learned that it's a bad idea to mess with time travel try to mess with time travel. Because it's sorry, it's a little chilly in here. Because that would be the only thing that I can think of, why Hades is so fixated on all these babies. Because we know he wanted to get little baby Peanut because he wanted to get back to Zelina because romantic gestures, I guess. But I don't know. It feels weird, and it feels so now he's really fixated on Belle's baby, and I don't know. I'm very confused, and I'm just wondering what's the end goal here? What's our season end game? Because I'm not I was discussing with somebody, and they were kind of giving me the scoop on how possibly the overarching theme, the overarching theme of each season, we have something, and the season seems to be person centered, who you define yourself as, and taking ownership of that self that you have. And other than that, but what's the end game of the arc of this this part? I haven't quite figured that out yet. And I'm fine. Honestly, I am kind of fine with not having figured out what's going on with this yet, but I'm just kind of annoyed that I can't figure it out. I just wish that I could have enough pieces glued together, which actually a friend of mine, her husband has put an interesting idea into my head. And it kind of seems like it's plausible now. And if he's right about it, I'm gonna be kind of mad because he's not like a storyteller. He's very much like, he's a very intelligent guy, but he's very much like techie intelligent. He's not like storytelling kind of guy. So I'm very like, if Mike is right about this one random thing that he threw out as a joke, I'm going to be so angry, mostly just at him, not that the fact that they did it, because like, I'm not going to be surprised at this point if they do that, but whatever. So hi, let's go. Hello, comments. Hello. Yeah, I just started. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not really sure what's happening. Yeah, they're dragging things out and I don't understand why. So yeah, yes, it looks like we're gonna be beating some Moulin Rouge the next week, which I'm very excited about. I have some concerns about Ruby being in the underworld now. So I guess since we're not like, I'm just gonna kind of ramble as things come to my head, because like there's like episodically, like the way this was set up, like there's a lot of like, there's some good backstory stuff, and I'm glad that we got like all these ideas, like we got more of like filling in stuff for Belle and figuring like she was very much the A plot, which I appreciated, and then the Snow and Captain Swan thing was very much the B plot, and then the Zelina and Regina stuff was the C plot. So I'm just kind of going to bounce around and just come to things, because like I don't really have like much to say except snarking here and there. So the Moulin Rouge thing. So Ruby showed up at the end of the episode. She's very much now in the underworld, and she showed up via tornado, which means like, I think we're mostly supposed to get like, oh, she came from Oz. And I was kind of texting my friend Joe during all of this, and we were just kind of snarking at each other about different things, because we're both very much not Rumple fans right now. And this episode actually did very well of like talking about like just Belle kind of pushing back and being like, would you stop being evil? And he's like, sorry, babe. And she's like, stop it. And he's like, nah, stop. Like it just kind of kept going back and forth, but at least like Belle was kind of pushing back at least. So we were just kind of snarking at each other. And then like at the end, Ruby showed up, and I was just like, okay. And she like, Joe was like, how did Ruby get here? And I was like, tornado magic. And then I had this awful thought. So this spring, in the year of our Lord 2016, in this age of third wave feminism, there have been a lot of lady deaths this year on fictional television, in real life as well, but in fictional television land, there have been a lot of lady deaths, specifically like within the last month. And that's very distressing. More distressing is that like a lot of them are ladies who fall under the LGBTQAI, MOGAI, whatever you want to call it, umbrella, which if Ruby's dead, that's going to toss her into that umbrella as well, which I'm very much not going to be very pleased about. Just 'cause, like, I didn't even watch the 100, and I know that that was bullshit. So, like, I'm hoping that it's tornado magic, and it's not like, oh, you died in Oz, so that means instead of being taken to the underworld via Karen's boat, or Sharon, I say Sharon, but I think it's pronounced like Charon, and then I just think I'm saying Karen, and then I'm like, no, I'm not calling somebody Karen. So like, I don't know, it's like I can't, words good. So like, I'm hoping that it's very much just a tornado magic thing happened while they were in Oz, and it's not going to be a you died in Oz and get transported to the underworld via tornado instead of by the boat, because once you're really good about ladies, you are so good about making ladies the central of everything, and like leading ladies with their supporting men, or like now we have leading ladies with their supporting ladies. And I really don't want you to go down the road of shock and awe killing of ladies. So please, fingers crossed that Ruby isn't dead, because I'm going to be really upset otherwise, and I don't want to be upset. So, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know if Ruby's dead, and I'm very upset. I'm going to be upset if she is, and I really don't want her to be. So, yeah. Just kind of going through comments right now. like there is a coherent plot. It's just kind of everything is like not maybe coherent isn't the right word. There's like a squiggly line that they're kind of like we have an end destination and we had a starting point and we're just kind of moseying around through the woods to get there. Like my visual references on like how you should be visualizing this. Such a good speaker. Yeah, there's a starting point and end point. We're just kind of like taking a very winding path and doubling back a couple of times to get to the end point. So like it's not fully coherent, but like I see where we're going. I just can't figure out how we're piecing it all together to get there. So yeah, that's where I'm at anyway. Yeah, I think we were gonna plan on going to face Hades this episode. It didn't work because Hades bricked up the elevator or something. I don't know. I was kind of thinking like maybe he just put like a spell up that said like, you know, you can't come through here. But in fact, if you had actually like put your hand through, then it would have been like, oh, this is just a fake brick wall that he put up because that's a spell that could happen. I read way too many books about magic, so I know these things. Hello. Okay. Sorry, not important. Yeah, so we're trying to get to Hades, but Hades is just like tossing on all these roadblocks. So we're working on getting to him, but he's busy being sad and weird and piney. Like it's very like the whole, I think we're calling it Hell Witch. I'm just tagging it like on my tags, just Zelena X Hades. But like I think with Zelena Hades, it was weird because I was like, okay, I kind of on board with this last week, and this week I'm just like, okay, now it's weird because you're like stalking her, and then sending her a weird dead flower, which was super creepy, and then like, I don't know, it was weird. Like this episode, I was like, okay, now it's weird, and I don't like it anymore. So I'm so conflicted on that. Yeah, so yes, Belle, I liked Belle this episode. Belle was very good. Belle was better this episode than she's been in a long time. So I liked that. And I saw somebody's, yeah, she came out of the tornado. That was the whole thing with the storm. And both in her dream, in Emma's dream, and then in real life, that's where she came from, was from this tornado. And then she came and she killed Snow, and then turns out that, no, that's not actually what happened. So... yeah, yeah, Bella's very pregnant. I was actually laughing a couple of times. I think I made a note in my notes about like, first off, Belle and horses, like, okay, because I wasn't totally writing about that earlier today. Like, thanks for reading my mind episode. What was I? So like every time they framed her around like the horses or anything like that, like I feel like they kind of raised the platform where they had the stable, like the stalls or the boxes where they put the horses in, and then like I know horses are big, and I know Emily is not like the tallest lady that's on the cast. Like she wears high heels for a reason. But like, I feel like they still raised it up so they could use the fencing to hide the baby bump, because it's my favorite thing in the world to like watch and see like how shows try to frame it to hide baby bumps, which they did a lot of that today, but they actually like, there were a lot of shots where you were like, oh no, she's definitely pregnant. I just feel like they framed everything so much that it just made her look so much smaller than everybody else, because they wanted to like keep her mostly out of like, just keep her from like here up in frame. And I was like, you're making her look so small, stop it. So I just thought that was very silly. But even from like the back, she looked very trim from the back with the way the coat was cut. In the flashbacks, at least, like in present day, she's a little more. It's a little more obvious that she's pregnant in the present day. But I don't know if they're trying to like magically speed up the pregnancy, or like, because she's only like, 16 hours pregnant at most. Like she's not very far along, like at all. So yeah, I don't know, but definitely like a couple of shots, like I think right after she pushed Gaston into the water, like they had the upshot. And I think they were trying to frame it like, oh, if it's like the wind is coming up off of the pier and like billowing the coat out, like that could have been she's not pregnant, it's the wind with the pea coat. But yeah, she was definitely very, very pregnant in a couple of shots. But they did their best. I love watching and seeing how the camera crew and the framing, like everything just tries to be like, how do we hide as much of this baby bump as possible? It's very silly. Yes. Excuse me. Okay, so cool. I just thought that didn't work. Yeah, but Belle was very good this episode. She did a lot of pushing back. I made a couple of notes specifically about that, where she was just like, I'm glad that she's, saying, like, she's tossing around a lot of ultimatums, which was good. And then, she brought the dagger back. There was even some, like, manipulation on her part at the end. Like, she did the whole, like, I know who I married and I still love you, but I can't condone it. I was like, well, that's fair. Hey. So yeah, there's something, yeah, like Hades just kind of stalking around. Like maybe it was like a weird thing where, so if Hades is walking down the street, maybe it's like this weird thing where we can see him as the audience because we need to know where he is. But like maybe he has a cloaking spell where like the people wouldn't be able to see him unless he wanted to. So, I have way more complicated thoughts about magic than the show puts into it, which is fine. I make it work. Whatever things that I'm just like, that's weird. I make it work. And if it makes me happy, then I'm fine with it. So people get worked up about the dumbest things, and I'm just like, it's fine. Just make something up to make yourself happy. It's just whatever. It's not worth it to be upset about a TV show. Yeah, Belle's very pregnant. Yeah, and most of the episode did only cover just a couple of hours. So, we had to deal with, it was very late at night when, Emma and Killian were up on the roof, and Emma slept for the first time in like God knows how long, at least 2 months. So she had to do. They had been dealing with this. She woke up and they went and they dealt with trying to figure out the graveyard thing, and then figuring out the dream and hiding in the crypt and finding Ruby and all that fun stuff. So like this probably only took up like. I don't think the time of day changed again. It was night at the beginning, and then it was still daytime by the end of the episode. So I feel like this took like a day at most. So, yeah, I don't know why she smiled at the dead flower, because like I saw that and I was like, okay, now it's creepy again. Like I was a little creeped out at the beginning when he's just like, she's walking around being all like, I don't have my baby and I'm really sulky about it. And then like he's just kind of lurking, and I'm like, don't lurk. Just don't be like, I'm fine. Like I like some pining in my ships, but this is different. Like this is stalking and it's creepy then. So yeah, there's a fine line between pining and stalking, and Hades crossed it a little while ago. Just saying. It just, yeah, and the weird creepy flower, and I don't, is weird. So, all right. So what do we have? What else do we have? Because I mostly just have snark this episode. Like I liked that we got some backstory on like how Belle became engaged to Gaston. So that introduced some conflict. I liked that it introduced some kind of conflict. And we got to see like just kind of just Belle kind of towing the line around. Because let's talk about that. Because at a couple of points this episode, we had Belle and Rumple arguing like the semantics of magic, like the gray areas, and like what constitutes magic being used for good and what constitutes magic being used for bad. And like Rumple even said, he's like, it all depends on your point of view, and like that's true. I'll give him that. It's very true that it does depend on who you're talking to on whether magic is being used for good or bad. Because, think about how many villains, in real life or not, who are just like, well, I'm doing this for a good reason. Well, according to other people, you're not. So, like, I kind of liked that they played around a little bit with the idea of, like, who's really the good guy and who's really the bad guy. Like it's kind of, it's not like that much, I guess, but like they're just kind of playing with the idea of like what constitutes good and bad. Like it's not just the fact that like Emma's magic is white and like Regina's is red and Rumple's, I guess we haven't really seen Rumple like do much of like the zap magic. Like this is a good hand gesture too, by the way, zzz magic. But like his smoke is purple, and so like that would automatically would think, okay, that's dark magic. So it's interesting that they're like playing with that because like, you know, visually and like we know that Rumple is the dark stuff, but like he still uses his magic for good things. But is it actually bad because it's dark magic and like it's yeah, I liked that they kind of argued the semantics, and it was good. It was a good conversation, I think, just for them because like arguably they're two of the smartest characters on the show, both Rumple and Belle. So like them kind of delve, like you would like that conversation happened, and I was kind of like, this feels like a conversation that would happen in like Rumble fiction, fan fiction, just like getting into the nitty gritty of like what constitutes good and evil magic. So I don't know. I liked that scene in the animal shop just because it was it was just interesting to look at. Let's see what else. I was going to talk about something else because I mentioned it and then I kind of went away from it. What was it? Yeah, so the thing that I said that I would be mad if my friend Mike got right. So Belle kind of like, he had this idea last week because of the whole like Belle finding out about Rumpelstiltskin being still evil. Mike, my friend's husband Mike, he watches the show too, and he was just like he's like, he doesn't take it as seriously. So he's just like kind of in it for fun, and he's just like, man, wouldn't it be sweet if Belle went to the dark side, like Mrs. Dark One? That'd be really cool. And like Andrew and I are both just like, I mean, like, well, at this point, like the way that they've been handling Belle's character, it wouldn't surprise me if it happened, because they've always been very wishy-washy on her, like alternately making her very blind to what Rumple is doing or like very on top of it. And like this episode, she was very on top of it, but another episode, she's been very like, and she was very self-aware about that this episode as well, which I liked, where she's just like, I let my optimism blind me again. She was very, very self-aware, which I appreciated that, that they're at least saying like, yeah, we kind of know that we screw this character around a little bit. So like, honestly, if Belle did kind of like give in, it wouldn't surprise me. It would be ultimately like huge character assassination because that's not who Belle is. But like, you know, it happened. Like it's you know, it is what it is. But again, because of the way that Belle was this episode, where she just kind of like, she didn't at the end really like give in, but she was just kind of like leaning heavily on him, and like it, like the way that the end of the episode was framed, it very much showed that they both still love each other, but they're still like, it's complicated to put it in Facebook terms. Like they both love each other, but like Belle's still not happy with how it is, and he loves her, but he's not happy that she can't accept him for how he is. Like it's a very complicated relationship. And I get that. So like, but I was still like, by the end of that, and the way like she's been kind of using him, like the way she kind of manipulated him with the dagger, even before the dagger, I was just like, if Mike is right about Mrs. Dark One, I'm gonna scream, because like, how did he see that coming and none of the rest of us did? I would just be like, it's not even that I would be like really mad about it, like illegitimately mad. I would just be like, how did you see that and the rest of us didn't? But yeah, I would just, it's at this point, I would not be surprised if that happened. I think if they want Rumble to be endgame, which they always say that they're going to be endgame, but then like we have the will they won't be, what, like it's exhausting. so they always say that it's going to be Endgame, but the only way to do that is like completely start Rumple over from scratch, which we tried to do, and then we reset everything at the end of season 4, or have her go dark. Like, there's not really, like, I am not clever enough to see a different way out of this, and like, you know, in order to stay true to the characters, it's going to be very difficult for either one of those scenarios to play out. So, like, I don't know. So I'm going to be very interested to see how their relationship plays out in the future, just because, like, the way their character is, like, each character is, I'm just like, ugh. So speaking of Belle's relationships, so we got to see a lot about Gaston, which I actually thought it was very interesting that they, like, reshot the scenes from Skin Deep, and or at least like reshot the scenes of Gaston that they used, and like overlaid this new guy who was playing him, because like, and I was talking to a couple people about, like, did they reshoot Skin Deep, or did they like just overlay him, like, because I guess if they shot the one episode, like both of those, I guess, were green screen because it was all Enchanted Forest stuff. So, like, I guess if they're green screened, then you could just, like, wipe out the person too, and like, just get like, if you're in Photoshop, I guess, just like get, like, you know, fix tool and just like color it in, like, and be like, okay, they're not there anymore, so we can put this new guy in. So yeah, that was interesting that they did that just to like fit the new guy, which I thought that was funny that they didn't do that with Robin Hood. When they introduced Sean McGuire to play Robin Hood, they didn't like go back and reshoot any the one episode that Robin had been in before. So that happened, but with that, I was very suspicious of Gaston the whole time. Understandably so, because I'm just like, I don't like, he came across as way too sincere at the beginning, and I am a suspicious little maiden, and I don't trust somebody who comes across that sincere, which my instincts were correct. So I thought, like, either he's really truly sincere, which is not likely, or he is such a smooth operator / manipulator that he's just gonna screw everybody over by the end, which he didn't. But like, he didn't screw everybody over, but he still like proved that he's less kind than originally he was supposed to be. Like, he wasn't like truly awful until the scene in Gold Shop, when he kind of lost his temper and he was like throwing things around. And at that point, I was just like, somebody please get Belle away from all of these angry men and give her to somebody else. Like, just like let somebody else take care of her because she doesn't deserve this. And the way he phrased, like, you seem to have a thing for monsters, I was like, okay, so now I'm starting to get the appeal of all these people who are shipping Ruby and Belle. So let's get all of these angry men away from her and give Belle a puppy instead. Like, if she likes monsters, we have one available. So I'm fully on board Ruby and Belle being together if Belle likes monsters. Or even just like if we want to do Ruby, Belle, and Mulan, we'll put all three of them together and they can be polyamorous, loving lady badasses. We'll just do that. It'd be fine. It's good. Yes, it's very, I'm just, checking the comments again. Oh, so Henry not being there, he went with David. At the beginning of the episode, they were kind of splitting up. So Regina went to go talk to Zelina. David said that he and Henry were going to go hold down the fort at the loft. And then that's when Killian and Emma and Snow went to go to the graveyard. So Henry's with David. And Robin is with the baby in the woods somewhere doing woodsy things. So, what if Belle accidentally killed Rumple and became the new Dark One? I don't know, because I feel like then we'd have another repeat of Emma being the Dark One, because like we kind of see that like Belle does have kind of a darker streak, like because she has the good and evil inside of her, whereas Emma only has the good. So I could see Belle being a little more like Dark Swan, where she's like fighting it a little bit more, but I don't know. So the Wolf of Grimm. No, I didn't actually think of that with the Wolf of Grimm, because I think that was more of a white wolf. It was like a very light gray, whereas Ruby's werewolf form was darker. And I don't think the wolf is dead. I think the wolf is still alive somewhere. We just haven't seen it because Graham is dead. So, you know. Yeah, I don't think the wolf... Well, Graham wouldn't be the wolf because Graham could not become a wolf. And what's his face whoever plays Graham? I don't remember his name. But he's busy filming the next 50 Shades of Grey movie. So, you know, he's in Vancouver, but he's busy doing terrible things to a woman. So, you know. Yeah, they could find a way to turn the darkness into light. It's just, I don't, like, they've been talking about that for now, like, a season and a half, and I'm just kind of waiting for that to actually happen, and I don't know how it's going to happen. Like, Val even brought up today about how Merlin had mentioned that one person would be able to wield the dagger and get rid of the darkness forever. So, like, that option is still on the table, I think, especially, like, maybe not because, like, Excalibur got broken and reabsorbed with all the darkness into Rumpelstiltskin, so IDK. I don't know. Sorry, I am really coffee today. Again, I'm not with it today. So let's wake up, mouse. Thank you. All right, so let's see what else. Oh, so how about the weird thing that they were having Belle say, or like everybody around Belle say? It was something like, you can't tell what somebody's story is without reading it first. And I was just like, why are we saying this long, convoluted thing and not just saying you can't judge a book by its cover? Like, please, could somebody just say you can't judge a book by its cover and be done with it? Like, please just let it be said. Let somebody say it and just, you know, we'll move on. We'll all acknowledge that it's a terrible pun to be involved with Belle, and we'll move on from it. Instead of saying this weird, roundabout way of saying you can't judge a book by its cover. Just somebody say it, please. Let's see. So yeah, I'm trying to like find what I have. Like, I'm just trying to find like if I have anything of substance left to talk about, because like really, I didn't have very much. Like, I didn't have much that I was like, oh yeah, I really want to talk about this that I haven't already talked about. No. So, like, I would be okay, like, I guess if we want to talk about, like, the whole Gaston murdering Rumple, or, like, Gaston versus Rumple versus Gaston, I would have been okay with one of them murdering the other one, or Gaston murdering Rumple. I would have been okay with that. It's only too bad that before Gaston fell into the river, or the ocean, but yes, it's attached to the River of Lost Souls, and it's still technically the River of Lost Souls. It's only too bad that he missed, and he didn't puncture Rumple with an arrow, so they both could have just gone. And then because of that clause, where, you know, as long as Gaston or Rumple did it, like Gaston also did it, then Belle's baby would be safe, and then we would also get rid of the Dark One. So, like, you know, I guess we could not afford to get rid of Robert Carlyle just yet. Oh, so we finally got to find out what an ogre looks like, because I don't think we've actually seen one before. We just know that, like, for a long time there has been, you know, like, this ogre war and that ogre war and this one and, like, whatever. And, like, we haven't seen what they look like until tonight. So, like, unless we saw one before, but I really don't think we have seen an ogre before tonight. So, like, yay. Um, let's see. Yeah, I was so hung up on like I don't see where our end game is going that I don't think I picked up on too much. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, so we have Emma and Killian and Snow taking up refuge in the vault, which, you know, it was super creepy. Like, Regina's vault is a crypt, obviously, but now they made it look even more crypt-like, which, you know, was completely necessary, I guess. But, so I liked that Killian, like, he heard Regina coming, and he grabbed this knife, and he, like, almost stabbed her in the neck. And then she basically, like, just insulted his clothes, and all he did was just, like, fixed his hair with his hook. He just kind of scoffed and was like, whatever, I look good. And I was like, oh, sweetie, don't, like, I love Regina and Killian's snark, but, like, that exchange of just, like, well, your fashion sense is terrible. And he's like, psh, whatever. Like, that was just, it was good. Let's see. So within that scene, I guess, because I have a couple of things written down for that scene. So we have Regina said something like to Emma that maybe she has some unresolved issues, and Emma just goes, I don't have any issues. And I was like, time out. Emma, sweetie, I don't know who you're trying to kid, but you have a lot of issues, and I love you for them, but you have issues. And then, like, immediately afterwards, Killian was like, well, what's wrong? And she was like, well, I guess because you asked, I'll open up to you and explain why she has those things. And, like, that scene kind of felt slightly heavy-handed. And I do note, like, when that scene was being filmed, which was kind of around the end of 5A, so possibly some dialogue got changed a little bit to, you know, slap back at a couple of people who have been very, how do I put this politely, bitchy about Emma bringing everybody down to the underworld with her. So Emma has this whole thing about, like, she just feels guilty. She feels like she failed because she, like, you know, okay, we're here, but now we're stuck here because, you know, if I had come by myself, maybe this wouldn't have happened, like, nothing this bad would have happened. Whereas, like, and then she's like, I know, I brought Henry down here, like, there's so much that happened, and I just brought everybody down here. Why did I do this? And, like, Killian's like, you didn't fail, you didn't mess up. And then Snow chimes in with, you didn't force any of us to come down here, we wanted to come down here. And please repeat that again, louder for the people in the back who are still bitching about everybody being down in the underworld. Just tossing it out there. So I'm pretty sure that, like, while that was a little bit heavy-handed, that was written for the people who have been not too pleased about this turn of events, which, you know, it wouldn't surprise me that that's what happened. Let's see. Belle's dad had a really fancy hat this episode. That's really all I have to say about that. I just, like, every time he came on screen, I was like, you have a fancy hat. That's it. I have nothing more intelligent to contribute besides from that. Yeah, Belle's basically, her entire premise this episode was like, okay, Rumple, don't do anything stupid. And he was like, too late. No, I was just angry about the dagger. Here's another question. So I know that Belle's dad was like, she's some kind of nobility, but I wasn't sure, like, what rank she was. Like, is she a princess, or is she just, like, the daughter of a duke or a baron or something? Because I don't really remember what the ranking was. Because the way that this episode is worded, like, I guess because she has she has nobility, so she could marry a prince. So if Gaston is the prince of his neighboring kingdom, oh my gosh, excuse me, and, like, she just has, like, this duchy or this barony or whatever, then, like, she could marry into it and be, like, the queen of something, and it wouldn't be, like, big scandal because, like, you're marrying a commoner, because she's not a commoner. but I just don't remember. Like, I'm looking right now on the wiki to find, because I feel like it was mentioned what her dad's rank was, because I don't remember, and I feel like I should. Yeah, so we have Belle, whose dad is Mo French, whose alternate counterpart is Maurice, who is a what? Sir Maurice, which is just the title of a knight, and that doesn't say what his title is, aside from a knight. So it would be great if somebody knew what the yeah, maybe I go to the castle, because I live in a castle, and if he's a knight, then he might be like a low-ranking lord. I think like most people have said, like he's a baron. But yeah, it doesn't say, just an enchanted forest location, and that is it. There's nothing that says that's it. So yeah, if anybody knows what what Maurice's ranking is, and if Belle is a princess or if she's just, you know, a high-ranking lady, that would be great. Because I was thinking, like, you know, she has this choice to make. Like, should she accept Gaston's marriage proposal when, like, he's very much, you know, she doesn't really like him that much because he tricked her and he did this bad thing, this ogre, and like he, you know, she showed his reflection in the mirror was red-eyed, so that meant that he was a bad person or whatever. And like, she still accepted his marriage proposal, which, you know, if she did, like, I don't begrudge her that, because she is a member of the nobility, and the nobility does kind of operate on different rules than, you know, common people. And like, that would explain later how she was so insistent on getting away from him. So like, she mostly accepts under pressure of, there's this ogre war, another ogre war starting up again. And so she accepts the proposal because like his kingdom could offer help. And like, in that moment, Belle's not thinking of herself. She's thinking of the fact, like, well, she feels like her dad's blaming her for what happened, even though she feels like she did the right thing. But this thing is still happening, and she feels bad that she can't do anything about it. But now she has this chance to do something about it. And she's not thinking of herself when she accepts the proposal. She's thinking of her people, the people who live in this castle or live in the surrounding villages that her father would presumably be in charge of. So like, she's making the tough choice for the sake of the people, and then later she found her way out of it. So obviously it turned out okay, and that she didn't marry somebody she hated, but instead wound up in a marriage with somebody who she feels like she can't trust because he's constantly betraying her. So again, put Belle with Ruby or somebody else to make her happy. Thank you. Yeah, so again, with the Hades and the baby, I can't help but think there's another time travel spell coming. Like, there's so, what little, like, again, don't tell me anything more than this. I'm just going to say this right up front, because I have a very extensive and very closely put together list of Tumblr Savior tags to hide things from me. Like, I have the Once Upon a Time Twitter there. I follow them on Twitter, but I had to like turn off their retweets because they just kept on retweeting like Adam posts the script teasers, and like I consider those spoilers. So I'm just like, nope, turning that off. Like, I don't even follow Adam. Like, I don't follow Adam for a couple of reasons, because like he's amusing when he's ripping people a new one, but otherwise I'm just like, oh my god, why do you even bother? With some people on Twitter, like, this is why I don't fandom on Twitter. I hockey on Twitter, or just complain about stuff. So I just like, I have a very finely tuned list to blacklist things, so don't tell me anything. but like what little has filtered through that I have, like, it's taken a second to register in mind of like, oh, close your eyes and scroll past. It feels like there might be some kind of time traveling thing, or some kind of, like, it's either more flashbacks or traveling back in time, one of the two. And I'm not sure which is which, and I don't want to have clarification about which is which. But the only reason I really think that Hades is interested in this baby is some kind of time travel spell, and for what purpose, I'm not sure. For another thing, I'm not really sure why Hades is all like, you know, like he even said last episode that he wanted things to, he's like, I can't make anything grow down here, it's only decay. This episode, there's flowers growing, and then he gets like all pissy about there being flowers. And I'm like, didn't you just say you want something to grow? Like, you tried to make things grow. So like, he's all mad about this hope thing, and he wants to get rid of hope. And I like, because hope means that the spirits move on, and I don't understand why he doesn't want people to move on. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it yet, just because they haven't told me, and it's kind of driving me nuts that it's taking so long for them to tell me. And like, I'm a little worried. This is my trepidation thought. My first trepidation thought is that Ruby is dead, and here's another Mogai girl who has been killed off this spring, and we don't need any more of that. My second trepidation thought is that since like it looks like we're getting that Dorothy backstory that I was talking about last week, where I was like, I want to know what happened to Dorothy that made her this way. So I think that's happening. Yet I'm concerned that it's going to be another episode like when we had Merida, it was just like Merida and Ruby and Mulan, and like it didn't do anything to forward the plot as it stood, when it was right after the reveal that Killian was the Dark One, and like we could have had a whole nother episode to expand upon Dark Hook and make that a little more impactful. So I'm a little worried that that's going to happen again, where we could be using this episode next week to expand on Hades and like why he wants these things to be going this specific way. We might not make that happen. So I'm worried that that's going to happen again. And I'm worried that that's like, I just don't want it to happen that way. So I'm just crossing my fingers that it doesn't. I'm crossing my fingers that I'm very wrong about next week. And I'm totally fine again with being wrong about next week. But I'm very like, I'm approaching next week with excitement about finding out what happened to Dorothy to make her this way. But I'm also just like very, 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 very hesitant about it. And I hope you just understand why I'm hesitant. It's not that like I don't want to see more of Ruby and Mulan. I do. I very much do. I'm worried that we're like just not going with the main storyline like we could be. So, because I'm still like, you know, I'm still like, maybe this is going to bring back around like what the point of that Merida episode was. Like, again, I'm totally fine with us talking about Merida and like having more stuff with Merida, but all we took out of this was the ale that you could speak to the dead. That's it. And then we have, you know, Moulin Rouge, which now they're coming back next week. So maybe we'll get a little more bringing that back together, because just right now it doesn't feel like we're tying too many things together, and I want them to. So I'm hoping we tie some things up and it's going to be a little more better than I'm expecting it to be. But right now I'm just kind of approaching it a little bit low key, just because like I'm not too hopeful about it, but I'm just hoping. I'm not hopeful about the outcome, but I'm hoping that it's better than what I am expecting it to be. Long-winded way of saying that. But yeah, it's just very concerning, which is why I'm really hoping that like next season 6, we just kind of focus a little tighter on stuff, because right now it's been very scattered. So if we just bring it back and do tight stuff, then that'd be good. But we got to get through season 5 to get to season 6. So, you know, yeah. So what do we got? Oh yeah, we have David and James meeting. That's supposed to happen not next week. Next week is going to be Ruby Slippers. So I think, yeah, I know that David and James are going to be meeting because there were stuff talking about Josh Dallas dressed as both parts. They are going to be playing with that soon. Maybe probably not next week, possibly the week after. I don't know, because that was like last week was weird. They released the press releases for both this week's episode and next week's episode last week, which was weird because they usually just do one at a time. So I don't know why they hyped Ruby Slippers 2 weeks early. Whatevs. So we're probably not going to get that until the week after that. But that's the working on that. I do know that they did talk about James and David meeting, but it hasn't happened just yet. No, it was not the Snow Queen's Nook. That was Regina's vault. Because Regina has a bunch of mirrors too. So, because even like when Belle had that book with all the magical artifacts in it or whatever, like the illustration there, I was just like, that looks like Regina's mirror in her vault. And then it wasn't, but whatevs. Yeah, Snow White's speech was very good. It was very much season 1 Snow. I liked that coming back into it. Talking about love being the healer of all the things. Very much Snow, the Snow that I missed. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where this hat came from. Regina's hat. Regina has had this hat now for 2 episodes. I don't know where it came from. But then again, I don't know where Emma's coat came from this week because she's had the red jacket. So unless she magicked herself a warmer coat, I don't know where this new coat came from. Because honestly, it looks like when they're doing rehearsal stuff, like JMO has this big puffy coat, and it kind of looked like her rehearsal coat. So I'm like, was Jen just really cold? And she's like, no, I'm just keeping the big fuzzy coat on because that's what she wore all episode. So I don't know. Yeah, Regina did wear that hat for a little bit this episode, which again, not the most flattering of hats. And like Lana Priya can wear a lot of things and make it look like her. I saw some pictures from Emerald City Con this weekend, and like the photo shoot that she did with Sean McGuire, like she had these leather overalls on. And, you know, normally you're like overalls and not the most flattering, but like Lana was working the overall look. And I was like, okay, I mean, I'm good at that. So like the fact that Lana Priya can wear this fisherman's hat and have everybody go like, what? Because she's a beautiful woman and can wear many, many things, almost everything except for that fisherman's hat, and it needs to go away. So yeah. Oh dear, where did I go? Oh, there it is. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think, because like Maurice is only referred to as Sir Maurice on the Wikipedia. Like we've never seen her be referred to exactly as a princess. Like not like, but there are different like, I guess maybe, I think like possibly they're just using the word kingdom as like, because this is a family show and like they know that a bunch of kids watch. So you can't really say like for most kids, you can't be like, oh yeah, in Belle's duchy or in Belle's barony, like, because they're going to be like, what's a duchy or what's a barony? And it's like or a dukedom. Like there are countries that are ruled by a duke or a baron or somebody who's not a king. They have, it's a different type of rulership, and it's still by the family. It's a line of succession through the family, but the title is not king, it's duke or baron or lord or count or whatever it is. So like, it's totally plausible that they're saying kingdom, but they really mean like something else, and they're just like saying that to make it easily accessible for everybody, and they're not having people like open the dictionary. It's like, what's this weird thing? Like, it's Disney, they're not going to get that technical into different kingdom terms. So like, I can see why they're just saying kingdom, but yeah, because like, as long as he is the ruler, he can have whatever title he wants if he is the ruler of this area of land. Whether or not he has somebody he reports to is something else entirely, but yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Maybe Hades, I think that his, meaning Hades, power weakens because of the hope, and that's why he's so freaked out of the flowers. And that might be it. Maybe if he does lose the souls, maybe if there's all this hope, then Hades does grow less powerful, because I think that was kind of brought up a little bit this week. And that very well might be true, again, I would be totally fine if that turns out to be like his weakness, aside from Zelena, because now I'm just like, kill Zelena! Because again, I'm not her biggest fan. So like, I would be interested to see if that's exactly what it is. But Yasmin, that's a very good point, that possibly his power is being weakened with all this hope. So, Abby says, I heard something about how when Emma says, I will sleep for weeks once we defeat Hades, that could be foreshadowing about her being put under sleeping curse. I was reading ahead while my mouth was saying words, and I said I saw theory, and I was going to put curry. You don't want to be put under a sleeping curry. I don't think, like, I love curry, but a sleeping curry does not sound like something that you want to have, because that's too much chili pepper in your belly, or ginger, whatever. So Emma being put under a sleeping curse, that is not something I've actually heard. I would very much enjoy that. I think that would mean then that like everybody in Emma's immediate family has been put under a sleeping curse, and I would love to play with that, because like really we haven't discussed like the Netherworld recently. Like we played with that a lot in seasons 2 and 3. Or no, did we do season 3 at all? I don't think we talked about the sleeping curse in season 3. I think it was just in season 2. Because we did have the Netherworld and like Aurora, and then like David got put under, and Snow had obviously already been put under, and then Henry had been put under a sleeping curse. So like then to have Emma be put under the sleeping curse, I think that would be a very nice way of like tying the Charming family under, like, do not let these people near strange potions. And that's a very ripe moment for a true love's kiss. Just saying. I don't need a true love's kiss to prove that Captain Swan are true love. I would be very much okay with them not getting one, but if they wanted to, I'm not going to complain about it. So yeah, I don't know. I think I have not seen anything about foreshadowing for a sleeping curse. That is not something I need to be paying attention to on my phone. So yeah, I've not seen anything about that. I would be very interested to see if that's how it played out. Because again, Emma has not slept very much lately. So I would be interested to see if they like, we're going to just make it up to you by making you sleep for quite a while, eternally, and we'll figure out everything else later. So yeah. Yeah, and there has been, Kimberly makes a good point about, there's a lot of stuff with Emma regarding sleep lately, because she didn't sleep, like she hasn't really slept since she got put under the dark curse. And like, it's been days now that they've been in the underworld, and like, really she should have slept. And like Killian even said, like, this is the first time you've slept since you rescued me. And like, all of us just want to grab Emma, and like everybody who's a fan of Emma Swan wants to grab her and wrap her in blankets and shove her into bed, possibly with Killian at her side. Whoever you ship her with, put her in the bed and just be like, stay there and sleep. Just don't get out of bed for a while. Rest, please, baby swan duckling. Yeah, so I would be interested that would be interesting if that was foreshadowing for a sleeping curse, but I have not seen very much about that. I tend to stay away from the speculation, but I would be interested to see how that plays out. So yes. There was some sisterly bonding. I thought that was very interesting. Sorry, I'm trying to find if I have any candy, because my voice is starting to feel a little bit scratchy. I don't think I do. Dang it. Yeah, there was a little bit of sisterly bonding, and I appreciated that Regina was the one who made the effort. I think I possibly could have appreciated it more if Zelina was the one to reach out, because she's the one that's hurting. But like we have already established, she has a lot of trust issues, so she's not going to be the one to do that. But because I appreciated that Regina was the one to do it, because she's the one, like, you know, Zelina has been kind of, you know, after her forever. So that Regina is just like, okay, like, you know, your things are kind of tough for you right now, so I'm going to kind of help you out with this. Like, I appreciated that, and I liked it. And I did like that, like, you know, Regina asked first. She's like, do you want some company? And then Zelina just kind of looked at her, and then she just kind of very subtly, like, did this little, like, yeah, like she could use just somebody to listen. But the fact that she was kind of, like, on to Regina at the end, like, you're just here to pump information. Like, I liked that I like this was a good dynamic for them, that they both, like, understand one another and how they operate, and how, like, Zelina is very cautious about trusting Regina, and she gets, like, they both get that. They both get that Zelina's not going to trust her, and Regina's like, well, you know, that's fine, because I'm not going to trust you. So, but we're still family, like, going back to that family theme. So yeah, it was very much a yay. It was not, I did not dislike that scene. Zelina's episode was much calmer than she's been, and I think I like a quieter Zelina more than, like, the loud and in your face. So, like, next week it looks like she's gonna be the loud and in your face, and I'm gonna just sit there and be like, oh my god, please stop. Because that's just how I am. I'm sorry. So yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, like, when I was, you know, 10 years old, I found Tamora Pierce's books, and, like, that list right away goes through, like, okay, so in the land of Amalon, it's ruled by a duke, and that's called a dukedom, and then this happens, and then, like, all these things, like, so, you know, medieval stuff was my forte, because Tamora Pierce, like, just completely captured my soul. The tender age of 10 years old. So, yeah, but, like, I'm talking, like, kids, a lot of kids probably are not, like, immediately understanding what that is. And, like, it's different, I think, hearing it than reading about it. Because reading it, I can see how it's spelled and then look up what it is later. Whereas, like, if you're just hearing it, you're like, how do I spell that? What is that called? I know. So, yeah. I'm saying that I'm saying that knowing that I'm speaking from my own point of view, not understanding how everybody else works. So, disclaimer, whatever. What is that? That is not anything bad. So I thought I saw something on my desk that I was like, do I have to kill that or no? I don't have to kill it. Let's see. If Maurice isn't king, he wouldn't be responsible for any question. But he's not. Yeah, it's very much complicated, and I think the way the Enchanted Forest is broken up into, like, small areas governed, like, I really think that most of it is not kingdoms, like, they're more fiefdoms. Like, here's this fief in the encompassing area that reports to this person, and, like, maybe there is an overarching umbrella of rulership, but, like, because really it just seems like there was Regina and George and like Eric's parents, Prince Eric, and I need a map. Somebody please make me a map of the Enchanted Forest, because that's all I really need, just to kind of figure out where all this puts together. Yeah, so it doesn't feel like it's different. So he's just a ruler who can arrange things because the Middle Ages and because things worked differently back then. Disclaimer. So also it's a fairy tale, so let's try not to make too much sense of it. So she says as she's hosting a show about trying to make sense of things. Yeah. If Emma were to fall under a sleeping curse, it'll be over in like 2 seconds because Killian would kiss her immediately. Yes, unless he is in restraints. So, but then he'd have to like work to get his hook undone, just like he did in Camelot, and then then he can run over and take care of it. But you know, if he's all tied up, then and not in the good way, then a little more difficult for that. But yeah, Killian would definitely wake her up as soon as he could. I know who you're talking about, Kimberly. I don't know how to say that, but I know who the blog you're talking about is. I actually haven't seen her post in a little while, so I don't know. But maybe she didn't. It was under the, because again, I have such a finely tuned spoilery speculation blacklist on my Twitter, on my Tumblr savior, that like I don't look at things. Like I just, if it's blacked out and I'm in a tag, I'm like, I'm not gonna look at it, because then I know I'm just gonna make myself mad and be like, why did I do that, me? Why are you dumb? Like, I get mad at myself for that. So because I'm the one who clicked on it. Yeah. I don't think she's actually working with Hades. Like, she smiled at the flower. Like, maybe she thought that because I don't know why she smiled at the flower, but I don't think she's working for Hades right now. That could very well change by next week, but I don't know. So, yeah. Yeah, we have to have Henry and the Pen, David and James, Zelina and Hades, and Ruby are definitely, they're the four plot threads now that we have to wrap up. Plus, you know, making Killian not dead anymore and going home. So, like, just to wrap that all up. So we have quite a bit to go, and we have a lot of things that do need to be resolved, and there's not a lot of time left to do that. So I'm interested to see where we go from here and how we wrap these things up. So, all right, so I'm gonna let this sit for a second. I'm gonna double check all of the things. Type in comments very quickly and let me know if we have other things we need to discuss, because right now I think I am not in, come on, open up, thank you. I don't think I have anything left to discuss, because again, like, we had a lot of stuff this week, but not a lot of it was like really delving into, or like, it's not stuff that I really wanted to get into, because like, I don't know, there were some conversations that I was just like, oh, I kind of missed what happened because I was looking at Tumblr, so I don't know. So nothing there, and we got nothing here, I don't think. Sometimes Twitter notifications take a minute to load. No, looks good. Okay, so yeah, if nobody has anything else, then, all right, so I'm not seeing comments, and I know that we're going to be, we'll definitely have some stuff to talk about next week, I think. Hopefully not in the category of bury your gays, because I'm really, it's April 10th, you guys, and I'm so tired of TV burying their gays already, and I don't want this to be another thing that happens, and I'm very nervous about another dead queer girl. Don't kill Ruby. Just please let her go away again, and we'll just wonder what happened to her. Like, I just don't. Like, we'll make something up. We'll make it work. Just don't kill Ruby. So yeah, next week we will see what happens. Go in with low expectations and come out happier, and it'll be fine. You'll find things that you were pleasantly surprised by. Just take it with a grain of salt. So yeah. Yeah. So, okay, so that's it for me. I actually have to go do some work because I have a paper due on Thursday that I don't have done yet because hockey happened yesterday, and yesterday would have been a big day for paper writing. So, I'm going to go do that, and I will talk to you guys next week. Thank you so much for sticking around and chatting and making this good chit-chat for a not that noteworthy episode, but we still found some good stuff to talk about, filling an hour. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good week, and I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye. Good night, good night, good night.